All right, are we ready to go with the Zoom and recording?
Commissioner Gilman, I'm here. Tracy, the court reporter, is here today.
Thanks, Tracy. I appreciate it. Um, all right, so I think we are ready. So I will start the public comment hearing. We are on the record. It's 5 p.m. on November 18th, 2025. This is a public comment hearing in proceeding number 25A-0220G. In this case, the Commission is considering Public Service Company of Colorado's application for its 2025 to 2030 gas infrastructure plan and associated certificates of public convenience and necessity. A gas infrastructure plan is a detailed proposal for upgrades to the natural gas utility system, including potential alternatives to certain projects. In its plan for 2025 to 2030, Public Service presents approximately 60 projects and seeks specific authority to build and operate 2 projects, the Louisville to Rollins Pass project and the Spear Canal Interconnect project. I'm Commissioner Megan Gilman. I'll be running today's hearing. Eric Blank, the chair of the commission, will not be able to join us this afternoon. But Commissioner Plant, if you could introduce yourself for the record.
Hi there, everybody. Tom Plant, Commissioner.
This public comment hearing is being webcast on the internet and will always be live, including during any breaks. So please be mindful to mute yourself and keep your cameras off if we do go ahead and take a break. Before we begin taking statements, I'd like to briefly explain how a public comment hearing works. There's a court reporter who is listening to this proceeding remotely. She's going to take down what you say for the record. This comment hearing is formal, like a court proceeding, and we ask that the audience be respectful of the speakers that comment today. When it's your turn, please speak clearly and at a conversational pace. The court reporter may interject and ask you to slow down if unable to transcribe effectively at your speaking pace. In our role as commissioners at this stage of the process, Council has advised us to avoid answering questions or responding to statements. We are here to listen and learn and to make sure your comments are reflected in the record. As such, the case is ongoing and we will not make any decisions until after the evidentiary hearing in this proceeding. As far as how things will run today, first I plan to call on any elected officials that I'm aware of planning to join us, especially in some cases I understand there may be official duties they need to go and get to. After I get through the initial list I'm aware of, any other elected officials, please feel free to turn on your cameras as soon as those are done and I'll get right to you. After that, I'll call on all public commenters today using the Zoom raise hand feature. To access that feature, you can go down to the bottom of your screen and you'll see it says raise hand there. If you wish to provide comments, please use that feature to raise your hand. I'll call on each commenter in the order in which I see you presented. At least as of afternoon today, we have a somewhat significant number of commenters signed up, which is great. We really look forward to hearing from all of you. In order to allow time for everyone to provide their comments, I'd request each commenter limit themselves to about 3 minutes so that everyone joining us today has an opportunity to speak and be heard today. The purpose of today's hearing is to hear from members of the public and not from parties to the proceeding. If you're a party, I would ask that you please defer your time today so that we can hear from members of the public. If you have a written comment prepared today that will go over the time limit, you could simply summarize the key points in your speaking time and go ahead and file the written comments into the record. Likewise, if you hear something today you'd like to comment on further, you can file follow-on written comments into the record. Written comments can be filed through the Commission's e-filing system, submitted via the Commission's online comment form, or emailed to Dora_PUC_website at state.co.us. In any of those methods that you provide comments, please specify the proceeding number of this proceeding, which is 25A-0220G. I'll also note we have a second oral public comment hearing that is already scheduled for January 20th, 2026 from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. I had to double check that, but we are indeed almost to 2026. So that'll be approximately 2 months from now, another opportunity to provide oral public comment to the commission. And with that, I want to thank you all for taking the time to be here and share your comments today. This is a very important part of the process for the commissioners. I know myself personally to be able to hear the community's insights into the plans of the utility. And so Commissioner Plant, just wanted to see if you had any opening remarks before we get started.
Just to echo those comments and just say thank you so much for participating in this process. This is, as Commissioner Gilman said, this is our chance to hear directly from the public. We of course get public comments that we read, but being able to hear directly from you in this kind of a venue is really important to us. And so. I appreciate all of you taking time out of your day and participating, and I'm looking forward to your comments today.
Thanks, Commissioner Plant. With that, I'm aware we have a few public officials joining us. Josh Cooperman, if you're with us, please feel free to turn on. I also know Tricia Canonico. Sorry, I always get off easy and the chair has to mispronounce people's names. Renee Miller-Chacon and Jody Hartman. So happy to cover each of you first. So Mr. Cooperman, go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners. I am Josh Cooperman, a Louisville City Council member and Louisville's representative to Colorado Communities for Climate Action. Thank you for your service and for taking my comments. This evening, I am asking you to ensure that minimally Xcel Energy's next gas infrastructure plan conforms to Colorado's mandated climate goals, and preferably Xcel Energy's next gas infrastructure plan accelerates achievement of these goals. Here in Louisville, we have adopted community-wide climate goals aligned with the Paris Climate Accords and more ambitious municipal climate goals. Having initially engaged in local government to advance climate action, I am particularly proud of these goals, and I attempt to work towards these goals with every decision that I make as a private resident and city council member. Xcel Energy is a key partner in achieving Louisville's climate goals, principally through Xcel's efforts to green its electricity grid, as mandated by Colorado state law. Indeed, most of Louisville's progress thus far is directly attributable to Xcel's work. Louisville needs Xcel to stay on track, not only by further greening its electricity grid, but also by implementing a climate-forward gas infrastructure plan. Louisville is in the midst of adopting a new comprehensive plan. This plan will envision significant residential growth, aiming to meet a variety of the city's goals, including creation of more affordable housing, a high priority of mine. For this residential growth to be compatible with Louisville's climate goals, all new homes must be fully electric. We cannot afford to install new gas infrastructure. My neighborhood offers an interesting and relevant case. When constructed in the late 1970s, before I was born, no gas infrastructure was installed. Some years later, a neighborhood group successfully petitioned Xcel to install gas lines to most homes. When my family and I moved into our home almost 5 years ago, we had a gas furnace and gas water heater. Since, we have better insulated our home, installed solar panels, and moved to a heat pump and heat pump hot water heater. Earlier this year, Xcel disconnected our gas line. Now our home is net zero, our indoor air quality is improved, our utility bills are reduced, and Xcel's gas infrastructure is becoming stranded as my neighbors electrify too. So I am asking you to approve a gas infrastructure plan for Xcel Energy that halts expansion of gas infrastructure except for cases like hospitals in which limited gas infrastructure remains essential, that prioritizes, incentivizes, or even requires non-gas alternatives for all possible cases, especially all new residential development. that encourages collaboration with municipalities like Louisville on achieving climate goals, specifically through education about non-gas alternatives, that puts consumers first by preventing costly expansion of gas infrastructure and promoting more affordable, healthier electric alternatives. And again, that at the very least meets the state's clean heat targets. Thank you for listening to and considering my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Cooperman. Appreciate it, and hope you make it to your engagement in time. Next, Ms. Canonico. Hopefully, I got close.
Pretty close.
Okay.
Good evening, commissioners. I'm Tricia Canonico, City Council member for Fort Collins, where we're supplied by XL Natural Gas. As a City Council member, I hear all the time about my constituents' struggles to afford their daily lives. Energy is one of those things that affects everyone when it gets too expensive, but rising energy costs can have especially devastating impacts on lower income families. I know this commission is deeply committed to protecting Colorado consumers, and that's why I urge you to view this gas infrastructure plan as an opportunity to reduce long-term costs for ratepayers by moving away from unnecessary expansion of the natural gas system. The commission has guided Xcel a long way towards its renewable energy goals, but significant work remains, especially on the gas side. Furthermore, with 2030 goals in sight, it's time to start thinking about our 2050 net zero target. This gas infrastructure plan should reflect that long-term need, especially because natural gas infrastructure has a lifetime of anywhere from 30 to 70 years. With affordability and climate crisis in mind, this commission should ensure that alternatives to building new natural gas pipelines are available and heavily promoted at new buildings. This gas infrastructure plan should prioritize non-pipeline alternatives such as electrification and geothermal energy. It should limit pipeline hookups for new customers whenever possible and promote other options actively to potential customers. Finally, it should lay out a clear plan to meet Xcel's 2030 clean heat target of 22% fewer greenhouse gas emissions. These measures will ensure a sustainable climate and prevent ratepayers from paying for infrastructure that will soon be defunct. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Go ahead, Jody Hartman. And I also had Renee Millard-Chacon on the list as an elected official as well. If you're here, go ahead and turn your camera on. Go ahead, Jody.
Hi, I'm Jody Hartman-Ball. I'm a commissioner up here in Clear Creek. Thank you, commissioners. I appreciate you taking the time to hear public comment on Xcel's gas infrastructure plan. The GIP will affect millions of Coloradoans, including my residents of Clear Creek County, where I am a commissioner. Our county's natural gas is supplied by Xcel. Clear Creek County includes mountain communities that are especially vulnerable to climate change, which is why I'm here to comment on this GIP proceeding. Our residents are seeing longer fire seasons, bigger fires, and greater threat to their lives and homes as a result. Water scarcity is increasing. Drought conditions are just as expected part of life at this point. To address the dangers of climate change, the Colorado utilities must step up the transition our energy systems off of fossil fuels. The Colorado legislature knows this and has approved laws that require Xcel to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions by 22% by 2030. However, Xcel's actual progress on the goal is lagging, and this commission must take every opportunity to align the company's long-term planning with statewide climate goals. Xcel's current gas planning is not sufficiently taking emissions goals into account. Only one of its four GIP plans is forecasted to meet its mandated climate targets. Some of its plans could significantly expand its natural gas services into new neighborhoods and regions in the state. Why is Xcel planning on failing to meet its climate goals? Even in cold climate places like Clear Creek County, phasing out natural gas is an attainable goal. Emissions-free electric heat pumps have proven to be effectively and efficiently heating buildings in cold climates. Rather than continue business as usual, the GIP must take on the long-term question of reducing natural gas usage in Colorado. I do not want ratepayers in Clear Creek County to foot the bill for new gas infrastructure that will be irrelevant in the next few years. The GIP can ensure a good outcome for climate and for Coloradoans if it requires Xcel to promote alternatives to natural gas and make clear plans for phasing out natural gas services. I also would like to say that I have had solar installed on my house almost 20 years ago, and so I have benefited from the new energy. I think the mountains are a perfect situation for that with our climate. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Hartman-Ball. Appreciate it. Just want to give an opportunity if there are any other elected officials joining us who I didn't recognize, please feel free to raise your hand right now. Just give a minute to see if I missed anyone in that category. Okay, not seeing anyone. I will now open it up. So go ahead and use.
Commissioner
yeah.
Gilman,
Sure.
Renee Chacon is here.
Oh, perfect.
Yep, I'm
Okay,
unmuted.
go ahead.
Clasocomatio meto, clasocomatia tatonati, clasocomatito nancinklali, clasocomatia abuelitos y abuelitas, and all the ones that came before and all the little ones to come. We live in the land of the Ute, the Cheyenne, the Arapaho, the Shoshone, the Kiowa, the Comanche, the Inde, the Dene, the Chicano, and 48 tribes that still live and travel through this space. I was formerly Commerce City Councilwoman for Ward 3. I work for disproportionately impacted communities through environmental justice of women from the mountain, and I was on the EJ Action Task Force for cumulative impacts and equity analysis. I'm incredibly concerned about gas bills going up to the Xcel being able to allow build new gas stuff. I live in a space that we suffer and die from the only refinery in the entire state. We already deal with benzene, hydrogen cyanide, hydrogen sulfide, and now Xcel's GIP proposed expansion and upgrades are projected to cost Coloradans $2.85 billion in taxpayer dollars, aka energy bills, which often target disproportionately impacted communities like mine from 2025 through 2029. Gas is a volatile commodity that we die from every day, and Coloradans bear all of the risk for that volatility, not just shareholders. Xcel states in its testimony that rates are likely to fluctuate year over year in an unpredictable manner, and this fluctuation continues to trend upwards. Gas bills go up when the cost of gas goes up, and this does not impact Xcel's business model since they can pass all the costly direct costs on to customers in disproportionately impacted communities without taking a hit. We truly need transformative change to prioritize clean heat, aka non-pipeline alternatives, over stranded gas assets. We need to invest in a clean heat, not stranded gas assets, and we want electrification in our homes, in our businesses, and working with our local governments to incentivize and increase this transition to clean heat through the installation of heat pumps and thermal energy networks. There are so many investments in clean heat that can actually transform Colorado's future and disproportionately impacted communities like mine, health, and safety. And investments in new gas pipelines and upgrades will soon become stranded assets anyway, leaving Coloradans paying off hundreds of millions of dollars through decades through their energy bills as communities transition to cleaner and more efficient heating methods that make gas uneconomical. In a space that already deals with over 75 metro districts in Commerce City alone, when we're talking about cumulative impacts, I truly need you commissioners to look at the PUC and understand it's also a tool for prioritizing equity and protecting health and safety of communities like mine from Xcel being further predatory. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Ms. Chacon. Any other elected officials? One more opportunity, and then I'll just get to the hands in the order I see them on my list. Okay, not hearing anyone else in that category. First, I've got Miss Elizabeth Smith. Next, Miss Caitlin Muldoon.
Got it. Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for taking your time to listen to folks about how they feel about what Xcel is proposing. Again, I'm Elizabeth Smith. I live in Wheat Ridge. I am an Xcel customer. I firmly believe that Colorado needs to do everything possible to wean itself from using natural gas. We need to do it to clean up our outdoor and indoor air so that we can combat asthma. This is personal me because I have asthma. And other respiratory diseases in kids and adults. I've lived here for 44 years and I developed asthma about 20 years ago. We need to stop burning natural gas because extracting it and burning it feeds climate change. And this sounds somewhat dramatic, but it's the honest truth. I have one kid who is now 31 years old. He has told me that due to the climate crisis and the environmental and economic fallout that there is no way he is going to have children. It makes me sad that I will never be a grandma, but frankly, I have to agree with him. It makes me angry that Xcel is pushing for more natural gas infrastructure that is harmful to all of us, and that I'm going to end up paying for it. The fact that Xcel made $1.2 billion in profits last year and wants me to pay for what is taking Colorado in the wrong direction and will become a stranded asset is insulting. I applaud the others who have asked the PUC to continue to take leadership in getting us away from natural gas and standing up to Xcel. Thank you so much, commissioners.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Appreciate it. Caitlin Muldoon, and after that, I have Eric Johnson.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Muldoon, and I live in Crested Butte. I'm not currently an Xcel customer, but I do own properties across Colorado, and the people who live in those properties are Xcel customers. I care about their well-being and their ability to afford to live here in Colorado. I'm here because the decisions made in this case will affect their cost of living. It will affect my business as a landlord, as well as my fellow Coloradans and the long-term health of our state. Like many Coloradans, I'm increasingly concerned about our air quality, our climate, and the rising costs of utilities. At the same time, we're seeing a clear shift across the state toward clean heat, things like heat pumps, electrification, and thermal energy networks. And these technologies are becoming more common because they're cleaner, they're more efficient, and ultimately more affordable for households. My concern is that if we continue investing heavily in new gas pipelines and gas system upgrades, we risk creating infrastructure that won't be useful for very long. As cleaner and more economical heating options continue to grow and start to become more accessible to residential property owners, these gas investments could quickly turn into stranded assets, things we're all still paying off long after they stop making financial sense. When that happens, ratepayers will be on the hook for the cost. And for many families, including the residents who live in my properties, rising utility bills can make an already tight budget even tighter. I'm worried about putting people in a position where they're paying for decades of debt on infrastructure that's already becoming outdated. Clean heat isn't just an environmental choice, it's a financial one. Investing in these solutions now will help stabilize costs, reduce long-term risk, and support the direction Colorado is already moving. So today, as a Coloradan, a parent, and someone responsible for providing housing to people who depend on Xcel, I respectfully ask the Commission to look closely at the long-term consequences of expanding this gas system. I hope you'll consider the people who will ultimately pay these costs and the reality that cleaner and more efficient technologies are steadily replacing the need for expanded gas infrastructure. Thank you, Commissioners Gilman and Plant, for your time and for your service and for giving us all the opportunity to share our perspectives. I truly appreciate it.
Thanks, Ms. Muldoon. Appreciate it. Next, I have Eric Johnson. After that, Nikita Habermill.
Yes, I'm Eric Johnson. I'm in Boulder County. And I thank you for the chance to speak about the GIP. I will be quite brief. I believe it is imperative that we wind down and halt our combustion of methane gas. The most impactful steps should be taken first. I'm a longtime construction project manager and now a consultant in energy efficient construction. Replacing existing gas-fired appliances for space heating and water heating does have some challenges, including upgrading electrical systems for all electric replacements. This work will happen, but it will take some time. What is straightforward and not complicated is to limit new users of gas. All electric heating and water heating should be the standard go-to choice in all new construction in the Xcel service area. Gas services must not be extended into new neighborhoods or to new commercial or industrial uses. The Commission should require Xcel to provide more electrification options for new business customers and residential developers. Xcel should be communicating with project developers, lenders and investors, contractors, engineers, and HVAC installers. I have laid out some specifics in this area in a written comment to you. Xcel needs to align their GIP with state climate legislation, their own corporate emissions goals, and they need to address the urgent situation caused by damage to our climate from coal, oil, and gas. Thank you for requiring them to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Appreciate it. Nikita Habermill, and after that, I have Noreen Walsh.
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Nikita Habermill, and I live in Fort Collins. I'm a pediatric emergency medicine physician, and I'm speaking on behalf of Healthy Air and Water Colorado, a nonpartisan nonprofit that works to elevate the voice of health professionals in the fight against climate change. As health professionals and advocates, we see firsthand how the environment shapes all of our community's health. Reliable, affordable, and clean heat isn't just about comfort. It's about preventing illness and protecting vulnerable populations and saving lives. We are deeply concerned that Xcel Energy's proposed gas infrastructure plan expands an outdated and unhealthy gas system that harms the health at every stage. Growing medical research shows that fossil fuels, including natural gas, damage health from extraction to combustion. Burning this gas releases fine particles and nitrogen dioxide that worsens asthma exacerbations, putting so many people in our communities at risk for worsening heart and lung disease, cancer, and low birth weights, just to name a few. Methane, the main ingredient in gas, is also a powerful climate pollutant. It fuels the heat waves, wildfires, and smog that we all see throughout Colorado, and it increases people coming into my emergency departments every summer. These health harms fall hardest on our children, older adults, and low-income communities already overburdened by pollution and high energy costs. I have treated too many children that have respiratory problems due to poor air quality, and it breaks my heart. When families can't afford rising gas bills, they're forced to live in cold, unsafe homes, and that has a health outcome too. Cold homes impact your immune system, they increase your risk for respiratory illness, worsen chronic disease, and threaten mental health. Continuing to expand this volatile and costly system only deepens those harms. We know there's a healthier path forward. Clean heat solutions like electrification, geothermal systems, and weatherization cut pollution, lower bills, and keeps families safe. It's a great solution. That's why we respectfully ask the Commission to stop expanding Xcel's costly gas system and prevent new hookups that lock customers into decades of pollution and expense. We would like you to prioritize clean heat and non-pipeline alternatives that protect public health and the climate. And lastly, we want to ensure Xcel meets Colorado's clean heat targets, as well as their own commitments, and plans a just, equitable transition for communities statewide. This decision is about more than energy infrastructure. It's about the health and well-being of Coloradans today and for generations to come. Thank you so much for your time today and for your commitment to protecting our state's health.
Thanks, Ms. Habermill. So next, Noreen Walsh, and after that, Desi Parker.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Noreen Walsh. I live in Littleton, and I am an Xcel customer. Thank you very much for hosting this meeting tonight. I care about this issue for two very important reasons. First, I care about the health and safety of all residents. A spatial analysis of the 2025 gas infrastructure plan conducted by the group Green Latinos found that approximately 70% of the 63 proposed projects are located within or directly adjacent to census tracts deemed by the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment as disproportionately impacted communities. That means 70% of these proposed projects are in places where communities are already being impacted. This seems wrong, unfair, and possibly discriminatory. My second reason for being here tonight, I also care about what kind of a planet we're leaving for future generations. We're running out of time to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels, and I know that our descendants will bear the burden of our short-sighted choices. Many of us are already living with health problems exacerbated by extreme heat and air pollution, which will worsen with more use of fossil fuels. So while clean heat alternatives to gas are available, Xcel continues to prioritize building out its gas system. In 2024, Xcel hooked up over 14,000 new gas customers. 14,000. Building more fossil fuel infrastructure now will lock in this ill-advised approach for decades to come and prevent us from making significant progress towards energy sustainability. Most of you know that the US is among the 4 countries most responsible for fossil fuel expansion in the decade since the Paris Agreement. Between 2015 and 2024, these 4 countries increased fossil fuel production by nearly 40%. Yet fossil fuel production in the rest of the world combined fell by 2% during the same period. I believe that at this time, this plan is not on the right side of this issue. Commissioners, I respectfully say that if we care about human health and the future of the planet, we cannot continue this focus on fossil fuels. In closing, I thank the Public Utilities Commission for its commitment to hearing from and listening to Coloradoans. And I ask that you would sincerely and thoroughly take into account the many concerns you are hearing tonight, because I believe future generations will bear the burden of the decisions that are made now. Thank you very much for the chance to comment.
Thanks, Ms. Walsh. Appreciate it. Next, Desi Parker, and after that, I have Meg Reed.
Hello, my name is Desi Parker, and I live in Monte Vista, a rural town in the San Luis Valley. I'm also an Xcel customer. I appreciate the work that the Commission does to guide decisions that impact families and communities across Colorado. While I don't have children of my own, I deeply care about the world we're leaving for the next generation. Living in the rural community means we're connected to everyone around us. The kids who grow up here, the families who work hard to stay here, the neighbors who show up when we need them, they're part of the fabric of my life. You don't need to be a parent to want them to have clean air, healthy homes, and a stable future. I've seen how energy decisions affect real people. When bills climb or the air quality worsens, families feel it immediately. And the households with the fewest resources are the ones hit the hardest. We owe them solutions that move us towards stability rather than locking us into old systems. Colorado has committed to reaching a net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. Building out long-lived gas infrastructures today pushes us in the opposite direction. It ties families and ratepayers to pipelines and fossil fuels that will outlast the very goals our state has already set. This is why I'm urging the Commission to prioritize electrification instead of expanding gas systems. Electrification gives us cleaner indoor air, healthier homes, and lower long-term costs. It is a forward-looking investment that lines up with Colorado's climate commitments and protects the next generation rather than burdening them. I believe our state can choose solutions that make life better for the individuals and families living here now and for the kids who will inherit everything we build. Thank you for considering a path that supports clean air, lower costs, and a future that aligns with the values Colorado has already committed to. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Parker. Appreciate it. Next, I have Meg Reed, followed by Aiden Gerald.
Hello, Commissioners. Thank you for taking public comment this evening. My name is Meg Reed, and I'm a grandmother living here in Colorado. I'm on a fixed income, and like so many Coloradans, I watch every dollar that goes toward my energy bills. But I also care deeply about the kind of air my grandkids are breathing and the kind of planet that they'll inherit. That's why I'm asking you today, please don't let Xcel running its gas system on the back
Is she breaking up for you, Commissioner Plant? Okay, I wasn't sure if it was me. Ms. Reed, we're missing your words a little bit. Maybe try and
afford it, not financially, not environmentally. In 2020, new neighborhoods. My internet.
Yeah,
Can you
you
hear me
broke up
okay?
a bit there. Maybe if you want to try to go over just briefly with your camera off, maybe the connection will be a little better and we'll have a better chance of hearing you.
Sure. Sure. Sorry.
No worries.
Stop video. Okay. Excel isn't just adding customers within their territory. They're trying to expand their service area into brand new neighborhoods, like one in Aurora that's not even on gas right now. If that goes forward, current customers, people like me, will be forced to pay for those new pipelines. Excel's expansion plans would cost Coloradans $2.85 billion from 2025 through 2029. Their own projections show gas rates rising 60% by 2040. That's on top of the increase we just saw this fall. This is the same year that Xcel made a record-breaking $870 million in profit from its Colorado gas business. When gas prices spike, we pay more, but Xcel doesn't lose a dime. They pass all the costs directly to customers while guaranteeing their own profits. That's not fair, and it's not sustainable. Meanwhile, gas is polluting our air and making it harder for Colorado to meet its clean heat and climate goals. We have better options like electrification, geothermal, and energy efficiency that will protect our health and lower costs in the long run. So please, for families on fixed incomes and for the future our grandkids deserve, say no to expanding the gas system and push Xcel to plan for a clean, affordable energy future. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Ms. Reed. And you came through loud and clear, unbroken once your video was off. So I think
thanks
we got
for your
it.
help on that.
Yeah,
Appreciate
no
it.
worries. Next, I've got Aiden Fitzgerald, followed by Glenn Fieldman.
Excellent. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Aiden Fitzgerald. I'm a campaign associate with the Coperg Foundation, a statewide consumer watchdog. We believe that Coloradans should have access to clean, efficient, and reliable energy, and that utilities should spend customer dollars effectively and maximize the bang for the buck. Although methane gas has long been a part of our energy system, it comes with several pitfalls. Thankfully, today we have better, more reliable options for powering our daily lives. For example, heat pumps, induction stoves, and heat pump water heaters. And these technologies are not only more efficient, but there are now more options than ever before, and costs have come down significantly. The Colorado Energy Office just recently issued home electrification and appliance rebates up to $14,000, set to take effect in early 2026. Colorado has already made its intentions to move towards this clean heat abundantly clear, with a goal of reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 100% from 2005 levels by 2050. Xcel's gas infrastructure plan should demonstrate how the utility's investments make progress towards this goal. Unfortunately, it does not. Our position is that Xcel should not be building out two overlapping systems, one for gas and one for electricity. Maintaining and expanding both of these systems would be wasteful and perpetuate the same risks and pollution. So, to steer clear of these pitfalls and ensure that our transition to an electric heat system is safe, efficient, and cost-effective, we are recommending that the PUC prioritize the following principles. Avoiding gas expansions. The first step in the clean energy transition is to avoid unnecessary expansion of the gas system. Each time that Xcel spends on a new pipeline or extension, it potentially locks consumers into paying for infrastructure that could very well become obsolete within decades. Given the state requirement to cut greenhouse gas emissions by 2050, it's hard to imagine making new capacity investments now and still meeting the 2050 law without significantly increasing costs and burdening customers unnecessarily. Prioritizing NPAs. Any non-emergency investment in the gas system, no matter the scale, should begin with the consideration of alternatives to traditional utility infrastructure. Any non-pipeline alternative that can be done efficiently and cost-effectively now will reduce the risk of stranded assets. To ensure the NPA assessments are accurate, Coperg Foundation recommends the PUC verify that the electric infrastructure costs are not overinflated and the gas infrastructure costs are not underinflated. The overall GIP plan and process should prioritize avoiding unnecessary costs and risks for Colorado consumers as we transition to clean heat. But it's a problem if 85% of the GIP plan is labeled in a way that removes it from robust alternatives analysis and review by the PUC. And last, focus on efficiency where possible. A primary goal should be to achieve our clean heat goals safely and efficiently for customers. The PUC should be aggressive and creative in watchdogging the GIP to ensure we do not miss any opportunity. Examples of this would include avoiding new pipes as part of safety investments when alternatives can be done more cheaply, focus on safety investments, on strategies that have a bigger impact on safety, and update design day calculations to reflect the reality of a significantly warming Colorado. I appreciate your time today and your commitment to a clean energy future in Colorado. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Fitzgerald. Next, I've got Glenn Fieldman and then Julian Guevara.
Good afternoon, commissioners, and thank you very much for all you do to keep Xcel on a path toward a clean future. This year, global average temperatures are likely to have reached 1.5 degrees Celsius over pre-industrial temperatures for the very first time. 1.5 degrees increase was agreed in the Paris Climate Conference in 2015 to be a kind of do not pass ceiling. And we are at that ceiling right now. Everything I read says that we are dangerously close to climate tipping points, beyond which we may not even be able to control further rises in temperature. A few days ago on my porch in mid-November, it was so hot I had to change into summer wear. And this year, which is said to be one of the 3 hottest on record, may be one of the coolest for the rest of our lives. Building new gas infrastructure represents a commitment to using this heat-trapping, health-damaging fossil fuel into the future. Many commenters have referred to the clean energy transition that's underway, and they're right. But building new gas infrastructure represents a source of inertia that can only slow down that necessary transition. As that transition happens, many commenters have mentioned that we risk that there will be stranded assets, and we ratepayers will be on the hook for paying for it for decades to come. I just installed a heat pump in my house and had my gas furnace removed. I'm delighted with its performance. Xcel should be promoting such alternatives and helping its customers make cost and performance comparisons, and in the process help to ensure that it is in line with Colorado clean heat targets and with staving off climate catastrophe. I strongly encourage the Commission to discourage Xcel from installing any new gas infrastructure in new development. It's completely unnecessary, expensive, and destructive. And many thanks for listening to us all.
Thanks, Ms. Fieldman. Appreciate it. Next, Julian Guevara, and followed by Eric Frankowski.
Hello, good evening, commissioners. My name is Julian Guevara, and I'm an Xcel customer. I'm here today not only as a customer and a resident of Lakewood, but also as an advocate for social justice, environmental justice, and marginalized communities across our state. In my role as a community organizer working throughout the metro area, I've had the privilege of hearing directly from parents, students, professionals, and families about what they value most about Colorado. They speak with pride about our state's natural beauty, its rich cultural landscape, and the diversity of its people. Yet they also express growing concerns about affordability and the quality of the air that they and their families breathe. Continuing to expand the state's gas system at the current pace will ultimately burden Coloradans with billions in additional ratepayer costs in the coming years. While Xcel has the ability to withstand rising gas prices by passing these costs on to customers, Coloradans who bear the risks of a volatile commodity will face higher gas bills overall. By contrast, investments in clean heat alternatives such as electrification and geothermal energy represent long-term investments in Colorado's energy future without compromising the quality of our air. Transitioning communities to clean heat will not only help future-proof our energy networks, it will also ensure that Xcel remains accountable in meeting its company-wide commitment to delivering 100% carbon-free energy by 2050. Finally, none of these decisions should move forward without the active engagement and participation of impacted communities and local governments. Ensuring meaningful collaboration will help prevent further expansion of the gas system in ways that undermine local plans and community goals. This commission has the opportunity to hold Xcel accountable to its promises and to ensure that its decisions reflect the needs and priorities of the communities who have too often been affected without having a voice in the conversations that shape these outcomes. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Mr. Guevara. Appreciate it. I did just want to mention before I turn it over to our next speaker, if you are recently joining us, if you do wish to provide a public comment, please go ahead and use the raise hand feature in Zoom. It's located in the middle at the bottom of your screen, and that will add you to the queue that I'm reading from. Once I get down to your name, be happy to call on you. Next, I have Eric Frankowski, followed by Morgan Ryder.
Can you hear me? Commissioner Gilman, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Commissioner Gilman and Commissioner Plant, for scheduling this public comment hearing, and especially for scheduling it at a time of day when people don't have to take time off work to give you their opinions. My name is Eric Frankowski, and I've been a Boulder County resident since 1986, living in Longmont for the past 27 years. For 25 of those years, Xcel was my gas provider. While the gas never went off, it sure as heck found inconvenient times to spike in price, like after 2021. I don't need to repeat in detail for you what happened then, other than to say the commission was incredibly displeased with how Xcel managed Winter Storm Uri and then came to you seeking $500 million in cost recovery. As you know, those kinds of price spikes are passed directly on to customers, and when bills double because the utility hasn't done its job properly, all the pain is felt by customers with little consequence for the utility. In 2023, my hot water heater went out, and then because things don't happen one at a time, later that summer my furnace died. I looked at my bills and I saw two things: a steadily trending upward curve interrupted by periodic spikes. We decided at the time that we didn't need the pain of big gas bills anymore, so my wife and I decided to buy heat pumps to replace both the furnace and the gas water heater. We didn't get any help from Xcel since Longmont gets its electricity from the municipal utility, and switching over meant leaving Xcel altogether. They're not really prone to making anything easy that will lead into their profit margins. And when you get down to it, that's what this proceeding is about. Xcel is doing what it can to slow walk its way to decarbonizing its gas business. Heat pumps, efficiency, and geothermal power purchase agreements don't pad the earnings of shareholders with billion-dollar profits or the 7 to 8 figure pay of company executives. But Colorado has spoken, and we want home heating that doesn't rely on gas and that is subject to volatile price swings, and put simply is just dirty from drilling to combustion. Xcel has shown that it is not willing to move away swiftly from gas on its own, so it needs to be directed to do so. The PUC must require Xcel to take advantage of every conceivable option to stop expanding its gas system by limiting hookups to new gas customers, especially in new construction where there's a huge opportunity to cut gas off before it's built into the rate base. Wherever possible, the PUC must require Xcel to consider legitimately non-pipeline alternatives. It has to do far, far better in education and promoting non-gas clean heat alternatives for its customers. Someone considering a heat pump should be led to the information they need to make the switch. They shouldn't have to dig through the bowels of Xcel's website to find it. And finally, no cutting corners. The PUC must hold Xcel accountable for cutting GHG emissions from its gas system 22% below 2015 levels by 2030, period. No variances, no illegal tricks. Xcel just needs to do it because that's what the law says, and that's what Coloradans want. Thank you very much again for the opportunity to speak to you this evening and for giving others the same opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Frankowski. Next, Morgan Ryder, followed by Sean McKenzie.
Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Morgan Ryder, and I am the owner of a small garden product manufacturing company based in Fort Collins called Seabite. I'm also the proud member of Good Business Colorado, an organization representing values-driven small businesses across the state. We believe that a strong economy and a healthy, sustainable future go hand in hand. As a small business owner, energy prices affect our budgets, our planning, and our ability to grow as we consider expanding our manufacturing as we grow our business. We depend on predictable, affordable utility costs, and we really depend on responsible, forward-looking planning from our energy providers. Colorado, we're already seeing the consequences of a warming climate. We don't really have the luxury of delaying action. That's why I'm here today to urge the Commission to ensure that Xcel's gas infrastructure plan aligns with our state's climate commitments, our clean energy laws, and Colorado's longstanding leadership in climate and energy innovation. Like many businesses in the Xcel's service area, we're facing rising energy costs at a time when every dollar matters. Our margins are really pretty slim. 2024 Colorado gas bills increased again, and we're looking at increases next year. The same time that Xcel is reporting a record-breaking $870 million in profit from its gas system. And Xcel's gas projections show gas prices climbing in the years ahead as the company continues expanding these gas systems. These costs fall entirely on businesses and ratepayers like me, not on the shareholders. Yet Xcel continues adding thousands of new customers each year and is now seeking approval to expand its service territory into new areas, locking Coloradans into decades of costly gas infrastructure that needs to be maintained, that leaks methane, a potent greenhouse gas, even as cleaner, more cost-stable alternatives are readily available. Xcel has committed publicly to delivering carbon-free energy by 2050. Those commitments exist because the science is clear. Continued dependence on fossil fuel is incompatible with a safe, livable future. As a small business and manufacturing company, I understand the importance of building for the future, not doubling down on outdated systems that will soon be obsolete. Clean heat alternatives like electrification, energy efficiency, and geothermal networks are already powering home and businesses across the state. These technologies are proven, increasingly affordable, climate-friendly, and aligned with where our state and economy must go. So tonight, I respectfully ask the Commission to ensure that Clean Energy Xcel first honors its commitment to clean heat commitments and submits a plan that actually meets Colorado's requirement to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 22% by 2030. Second, prioritizes clean heat alternatives over new gas pipelines that will become stranded assets, leaving ratepayers paying for infrastructure we don't need for decades to come. Third, stops unnecessary expansion of the gas system, including new territory additions that burden existing customers. And finally, I think it's important that Xcel improves outreach and education so customers and communities can fully access electrification and clean energy heat options. Small businesses like mine operate on thin margins, and we're the front line of rising energy costs. We need a utility plan that prepares Colorado for a clean, affordable, resilient energy future. And I urge the Commission to hold Xcel to a higher standard. Thank you for your time and your commitments to Colorado's energy future.
Thanks, Ms. Ryder. I appreciate it. Next up, I have Sean McKenzie, followed by Mike Baum.
Good evening, Commissioners, and thank you for the opportunity to comment. My name is Sean McKenzie, and I live in Broomfield. Xcel provides gas to my home. Before stepping into my work as the chair of Broomfield's Advisory Committee on Environmental Sustainability or my postgraduate studies at the University of Cambridge, I spent time in the Amazon jungle working alongside the Kokama, an indigenous community leading their own conservation efforts. And what struck me most was that their approach wasn't built on fear or urgency. It was built on curiosity. They asked thoughtful questions about long-term stewardship, about how decisions made far away would shape the land their children depended on. and about how to protect their community's future when the world around them was changing quickly. And those questions never left me. Today, I find myself wondering about the types of questions that you might face when you sit with hours of testimony, competing visions, and strong opinions. What rises to the top for you? How do you navigate the tension between what feels familiar today and what resilience might require tomorrow? And what lens do you use to evaluate the long-term trade-offs, economic, environmental, community-based, that sort of live and are nestled inside every energy decision? Imagine that you're thinking not just about the pipes and the systems, but about the people who rely on them. Imagine that you're asking whether choices made today create more flexibility for families or quietly limits their options. Whether we're building toward the world that Colorado is moving into, or reinforcing the one that we're slowly growing out of. And my hope isn't to tell you what to decide, but to invite deeper reflection on what's possible. Because the Kokama, they taught me that the most meaningful decisions emerge not from urgency alone, but from intentional curiosity about the future we're shaping. What do we want our communities to inherit? And which choices truly move us closer to that future? Thank you for your time and for your thoughtful service to Colorado.
Thanks, Mr. McKenzie. Appreciate it. Next, I have Mike Baum, followed by Donnie Clemens. Mr. Baum, you are muted.
Sorry.
There you go.
So, hi, commissioners. My name is Mike Baum, and I'm an Excel customer in Boulder County. I'm also on the board of Sustainable Resilient Longmont. We're a nonprofit that has been advocating for sustainable clean energy for many years. We have a large community following of passionate volunteers, and all of us are very excited that so far in 2025, Excel has offered substantial rebates to its customers to improve the energy efficiency of their homes or adopt electric appliances. And this has allowed many folks to undertake projects that they couldn't have done otherwise. In fact, I have personally switched to a heat pump electric water heater this year, thanks to Excel's rebate. However, we are also disappointed that Excel feels it must expand its gas infrastructure on the backs of Colorado ratepayers. Excel should halt expansion of its ratepayer-funded gas system. Hardworking Coloradans don't want to be on the hook paying for more stranded gas assets for decades to come. And as you know, new gas pipes last 30 to 70 years, and they are rate-based, meaning they drive up costs for customers. So why not invest in clean heat and not stranded gas assets? Colorado homes, businesses, and local governments, they are increasingly transitioning to clean heat like electrification and geothermal through the installation of heat pumps and thermal energy networks. So maybe we should ask regulators to insist on analyses of cost effectiveness for any proposed gas line replacements. In some places, it costs less to switch gas customers to electric appliances or district heating than it does to dig them up and replace the old pipes. Investments in clean heat are investments in Colorado's future that will heat Colorado homes and businesses for decades to come. Investments in new gas pipelines and upgrades will soon become stranded assets, leaving Coloradans paying off hundreds of millions of dollars for decades through their energy bills as communities transition to cleaner, more efficient heating methods that make gas uneconomical. So we feel the PUC should hold Xcel accountable to achieve statutory clean heat targets. Xcel has a company-wide commitment to delivering 100% carbon-free energy by 2050, as well as a statutory requirement to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from its gas system by 22% below their 2015 levels by the year 2030. Xcel cannot meet either of its clean heat goals if it continues its business as usual approach to gas infrastructure, such as building new pipelines and adding new gas customers to its systems. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Mr. Baum. Appreciate it. Next, I have Donnie Clemens, followed by Heidi Leithwood.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Commission, for allowing us to speak. My name is Donnie Clemens. I'm the Acting Director of Good Business Colorado, and I'll be sharing a letter from one of our small businesses here in Colorado. My name is Alicia Harris, and I am a small business owner in Colorado. I run an online company, and dependable, affordable energy is essential to my day-to-day operations. It affects how I serve my clients, how I support my team, and how my business contributes to the economic health of communities we work with. Small businesses make up a significant share of Colorado's economy, and we rely on predictable costs to plan responsibly and sustain growth. When energy prices increase or fluctuate sharply, or when new infrastructure decisions lead to higher long-term rates, the impact is immediate. Those changes limit our ability to invest in our workforces and in the local economy. This is why I'm concerned about Xcel's gas infrastructure plan. Expanding gas infrastructure at this moment will lock customers into higher and more volatile costs for decades. It also moves us further away from the clean heat targets Colorado has already set. Those targets are designed to support a more stable and affordable energy future, and small businesses benefit when utilities plan in alignment with them. Clean heat alternatives such as electrification and geothermal are practical pathways that offer more long-term sustainability than continued investment in new gas pipelines. They provide a clearer direction for businesses that need to understand what the future of energy in this state will look like. I am asking the Commission to ensure that Xcel meets Colorado's clean heat targets, prioritizes clean heat alternatives, and does not expand gas infrastructure that will result in stranded assets and higher costs for customers. Small businesses need reliable, affordable, forward-looking energy planning in order to thrive, and that strengthens Colorado's economy as a whole. Thank you. Alicia Harris, CEO and Creative Director of Original Count Strategies. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thanks, Ms. Clemens. Appreciate it. Next up, I have Heidi Leithwood, followed by Paul Coleman.
Hello, Commissioners. I'm Heidi Leithwood, Climate Policy Analyst with 350 Colorado. We're a local, grassroots, nonprofit climate and environmental justice advocacy group. We will be submitting a written comment representing our nearly 20,000 members statewide, but tonight I'm here commenting as a mother. Also, I live in Denver and I'm an Xcel ratepayer. I don't want to pay for new gas infrastructure and for replacements and repairs when they're unnecessary because alternatives are better for everyone. I will become a grandmother in a few weeks, and along with the joy that that brings, it makes the climate emergency we are facing an even heavier weight on my heart. Thank you to the Commission for taking the threat of climate change seriously and for your work to reduce emissions under your jurisdiction. I'm here to keep sounding the drumbeat that we need to move ever more quickly and decisively. Scientists are alarmed. Things are going faster than they thought. We're approaching irreversible and dangerous tipping points more quickly. I personally was terrified to see that a few days ago, Iceland considered the threat of the collapse of the AMOC an important ocean current, likely enough that they declared it a national security threat. Of course, I was also impressed by their seriousness. And if you haven't heard of this current, please Google it. It's indeed terrifying. We need to cut emissions faster. Everyone does. Xcel should only be proposing plans that achieve the clean heat reduction requirements. They should be required to meet these targets, and we should be thinking ahead not only to 2030, but 2035 and 2050. We need to prevent new gas infrastructure wherever possible. Instead of repairing or replacing old lines, home and business owners must be given compelling reasons, including financial, to switch to electrifying. Xcel must be directed to do this because, of course, they make more money on gas lines. You will be seeing a lot of good proposals from groups that exist to fight for the common good, both for the environment and for people's pocketbooks. Xcel's profit motive keeps it from making proposals and decisions based on the common good, so we are counting on you to require them to do things against their own interest, to do all you can to move us more rapidly away from gas-powered home and building energy use. Thank you very much for listening, and I really appreciate your service to Colorado.
Thank you, Ms. Leithwood. Appreciate it. I do just want to mention again, for those who have joined us more recently, if you do wish to speak publicly, we are going with the raise hand feature inside of Zoom. It's located in the middle at the bottom of your screen. So you need to click that and that will add you to our queue, and then I'll call on you when we get down to your position. Just want to make sure folks know how to get in line here. Next up, I have Paul Coleman, followed by Patricia Garcia Nelson.
Good evening, Commissioners Gilman and Plant. It's great as always to have this opportunity to express my thoughts. I agree with just about everything that's been presented to you tonight. I don't see anyone here saying, gee, we should build more gas lines. Xcel says right at the start of their plan that they're electrification first. They hooked up 14,000 new residential customers in 2014. So all this expanded gas system is going to be stranded assets. Xcel should have that liability. These are not prudent investments. Xcel has perverse incentives. They make money based on building stuff and owning stuff. They're gaming the system. They follow the letter of the law. They're not doing anything illegal. But we're not rewarding them for the health of the customers. We're not rewarding them for avoiding climate change damage. So you commissioners must provide the proper incentives to Xcel. This expansion of the gas system should not go into the rate base. No one should make a profit from selling or using fossil fuels. No one should make a profit from selling or using fossil fuels. That's my main point. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Coleman. Appreciate it. Next, I've got Patricia Garcia Nelson, followed by Victor Huston.
All righty, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you so much. My name is Patricia Garcia Nelson. I am the Colorado Fossil Fuels Just Transition Advocate for Green Latinos, and I'm speaking this evening on behalf of Green Latinos, the Latino and Indigenous and immigrant community here in Colorado. Green Latinos recently conducted an analysis of PSCo's 2025 gas infrastructure plan, and we want to note that we are happy to send our findings in to be used in whatever manner is most useful to the Commission and your staff as you evaluate the plan. Our core finding is very clear. Approximately 70% of the 63 proposed gas infrastructure projects are located in or directly adjacent to disproportionately impacted communities. Only 19 fall outside those areas. These projects include mainline replacement, new pipelines, capacity expansions, regulator, gate stations, and system modernization. What is most concerning is where these projects are concentrated. In communities like Commerce City, North and Northwest Denver, Greeley, Evans, South Pueblo, and Garfield. Places that are already heavily burdened by cumulative pollution and multiple industrial sources. I want to highlight Weld County, where I live. Weld County has 14 proposed projects. Only 4 of them are labeled as maintenance or safety upgrades. The remaining are expansions, new pipelines, or new service additions, significantly expanding fossil fuel infrastructure in an area that is already experiencing some of the state's highest ozone, methane emissions, and compressor station activity. My community needs pollution reduction and transition planning, not new long-term assets. Colorado has a clear environmental justice direction. The Environmental Justice Action Task Force recommended stronger siting, standards, cumulative impact protections, and an alignment of utility planning with environmental justice principles. The Colorado Latino Climate Justice Policy Handbook shows that Latino communities overwhelmingly live in the areas with the highest pollution burdens, but we are the district that contributes least to the pollution in our communities. At this time, Excel is advocating repair times of up to 24 months on certain line issues in Colorado at this very same agency. For communities like mine already living with elevated health risks and cumulative impacts, year-long or 2-year-long delays in repairing known pipeline issues, it's simply unacceptable. And another reason why we should require that Excel no longer contributes to this infrastructure that, as many speakers have said, is going to be a stranded asset sooner or later, and the ratepayers are going to have to pay for it. Green Latino respectfully urges the Commission to make the following changes before the approval of the gas infrastructure plan. We want there to be a mandatory non-pipeline alternative analysis for every project near or in a DIC, including electrification, weatherization, network geothermal, and demand-side management. We want to see cumulative impact protections and transparent public reporting so communities can understand how these decisions will affect long-term health and climate risks. Additionally, we want to see enforceable accountability measures, including timely repair requirements, compliance with compliance with current state standards. We support safety and reliability, of course, but our communities depend on more than just that. We cannot continue to justify expanding fossil fuel systems in our neighborhoods, especially our neighborhoods that are already facing the highest cumulative burdens. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, appreciate it, Ms. Garcia Nelson. Next, I have Victor Huston, followed by Burr Jeff Newman Lee.
Okay. Yeah, my name's Victor Randy Houston. I go by Randy, but that's okay. So I am an Excel customer. For gas. I also am an Excel employee, and I'm a very proud Excel employee. So I have followed what the company does, and like any organization, they do some things I think are great. They do some things that I question a bit. In this case, I've been looking at this gas infrastructure plan, and it's very clear to me that this plan is much more about how do I achieve maximized profitability, long-term growth, and de-risk than it is about anything else. Okay, with fairly limited integration between gas and electric, as I can see. So, commissioners, if you'll bear with me for just 1 second, I want to read you a couple of numbers that comes from Excel's website, and I'll be happy to provide this information in the citations. But as you know, that the costs on this, if you take a look at the total gas cost, right? So for those, the rates are made up of multiple components. One of them is the gas, and that's a pass-through. They don't make profit. If you look at October 20th, the cost was 0.33610, 33 cents. In October 25, it's 0.43970. So in other words, it's gone up 30%. So the pass-through cost of gas has gone up 30%, right? Same chart, same tables put out by Excel shows that in October 20th, the usage charge, which is basically comes from all of the infrastructure, and they do make profit on, okay? So they don't on the gas, but they do on the infrastructure charge, or the usage charge, was 0.13962. If you look at it in October of this year, it's 0.42584. Now, what does that really mean? It means the cost component of related to infrastructure has gone up 205% in less than 5 years. It's a 40%, right? Non-compounded, but it's still close to 40%. Cost increase over 5 years. Now, what's the implication of that? The implication of that's really simple. Excel has positioned themselves to maximize profitability, right? They are planning expansion because they can make more profit. And 3, if they've de-risked the business, because if the amount of gas sold dropped to 1/3 of what it is today, they would still make the same profit that they made 5 years ago, which was substantial then, and it's grown. So the plan that's laid out when you cut through all the rest of it is about continuing this process of de-risking and maximizing profitability and growing the gas business. And that's what it's all about. All right. If you look over the next few years and you look at it, what you're going to find is that the usage charge component that's already gone up 205%, all right, in less than 5 years, is going up even more, which means if usage goes up because they can expand demand, profitability skyrockets. If usage goes down, they still maintain their profitability because all the costs are covered on a pass-through basis. So that's what the plan's about. Now, if you look at the other side of it that I mentioned was the alignment. If you look at the beginning of the integrated plan, they talk about how they have these integrated service planning teams, and they show a pretty chart with a model in it, right? When you actually go through and then you read it and you say, okay, so what did you achieve through all of this integrated planning? Tell me, how did electric and gas come together? There's nothing in there. If you go to page 129, what you'll see is they say, hey, electric's out there and they're trying to get, people to go all electric and everything else. And so, that's goodness. That's just, but at the same time, they're talking about expansion. And they're saying, well, this and this group, we offered and they didn't want to do it, the, developer. Well, that's not the same thing. They could be doing things where they're working together on it. And they are going to be producing assets that if it does go forward are going to be stranded. There's nowhere in here that's a list of what was the outcomes of the integrated planning. Give you a simple example. For those who may not know, on the electric side, you're going to use gas power plants instead of coal. Not good, okay, until we get to adequate amounts of renewables or as backup. You can put in what's called a synchronous condenser, which is basically simply a spinning mass. So today when we have power plants, we use a lot of, they spin. That creates inertia and it helps provide stability and reliability to the grid because it dampens the fluctuations. As you go more and more to solar and renewables, you lose that. And consequently, you either have a less reliable grid, that's what happened in Spain and Portugal, right? Couldn't handle the fluctuations, or you have to compensate. You can do that through inverters, but that adds a lot of cost. You can also take your gas power plants, put in a clutch, and then when you don't need it to produce power, you actually use it to spin to stabilize the grid. That's integrated planning. If they were saying, hey, we're working with them, we're going to provide the gas to those plants, then those assets are much more efficiently utilized. But where's the integrated plan that says how they're getting there? Where's the list of how those integrated teams came together to optimize for what we need? So my challenge with this, and by the way, I am a stockholder. I love the profit and I support that. But I'm also been a long-term Colorado, resident. And I am worried about the future and also about the fact that we put stakes in the ground from a legal point of view. And I'm not sure I see this aligning with it. So I think Excel in this case has hit the wrong balance. I don't think they should be doing the expansion. I think they should be coming back to you much more about, how does this integrated gas electric come together to achieve their vision? And I think that the commission needs to take a hard look at this massive expansion and the usage charges and what it means to future costs. Because they make that profit, they're going to make it whether it goes up, goes down. But if they can expand the usage of gas, then they just drive more and more profit. And I'm not sure that's where we want to go at this point. So I appreciate the comments and or the opportunities. You folks have an incredibly difficult job. And if nothing else, listening to us all when it's this close to dinner. So I do appreciate the time you're taking. And um, again, I support Excel. I don't think Excel hit the mark on this one to the point they should. then I think it's up to you folks to say, this part's okay, but you need to go work on this, and get it better aligned with what both the regulatory environment is and where the state wants to go. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Mr. Houston. Appreciate it. I know we're within 10 minutes of our intended end time, but I did just want to reassure you all, if you have your hand raised, we are going to get to you. Commissioner Plant and I will stay, hang out, make sure we hear everyone's comments today. So just don't want anyone to be upset. Commissioner Plant, I just spoke for you. I signed you up. We're staying until everyone's done. Okay, good. Excellent. Okay. Next I have Jeff Newman Lee, followed by Celeste Gould.
Hello. I don't see my face on the screen, so I hope I'm coming through.
We've got you.
What marvelous people have been testifying, and it's a little humbling to follow in some of their footsteps. I'm from Denver. My name is Jeff Newman Lee, and I'm an Xcel customer. I don't have gas coming to my house. I'm very comfortable in my house. I have been following the science of late, listening to scientists, and I think that there is a tremendous disconnect that we need to recognize, and that is the reality versus the law. The reality is that we are at 1.5 now. It's 23 came in about 1.5, 24 was more than 1.5, and we backed down a little bit this year. But even so, we're at El Nino conditions. When we set up our legal basis, we were thinking 1.5 in, something like 2035. And so we thought we had a lot more time, but we don't have that time. This is happening now. It's killing people now. It's destroying economic vitality now. And I love my grandchildren. So I'm going to get personal here because I am a retired pastor, and that's how I deal. And I'm going to speak to the PUC folks. I just hope you have courage. I hope you make decisions that are not politically aligned and maybe not even legally aligned, but aligned with the truth, with what's actually happening to us and in this world. I wish you the best. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Newman Lee. Appreciate it. Next, I have Celeste Gould, followed by Julia Corns.
Hello. Everyone has been very nice. You might not like my tone tonight. I will not apologize for that. I'm angry. I'm angry at Xcel for repeatedly trying to screw over Coloradans for profit. And I'm mad at the PUC for repeatedly giving them passes and cutting them sweetheart deals, reducing their emissions reduction goals. I see zero reason for these projects to be approved except to make profit for Xcel. It's not better for the taxpayers who foot the bill. It's not better for the ratepayers, the customers of Xcel who foot the bill. It's not better for our environment, certainly not better than pursuing renewable energy, which Xcel could easily do, but they make more money getting taxpayer-funded fossil fuel projects. Xcel understands that they make money by building plants. We who show up to these hearings understand that Xcel makes money by building plants. The PUC does not seem to grasp that. I see zero reason for the PUC to ignore the community that it serves and is accountable to in order to line the pockets of CEOs who have already cost Coloradans millions of dollars in taxpayer subsidies, and in health complications due to Excel's pollution and its plants. I've come to every hearing that I've been aware of by the PUC for the past about 2 years. Every single person that I've heard spoke has begged you to hold Excel specifically more accountable, both in terms of reducing greenhouse gas emissions and in terms of fiscal responsibility with taxpayer money. And yet, like I said, I see the PUC cutting slack for Excel time and time again, making sweetheart deals, reducing the greenhouse gas emissions targets for them, and approving projects that cost Coloradans money and exchange rob us of our health. I would like to remind you all that Polis cannot reappoint you. I would encourage you to think about your resumes that you will be submitting to the future governor in order to secure your reappointment to your position. And I would ask you, why does one company have more say in the PUC's decisions than the hundreds of your neighbors and constituents who have shown up to these meetings? I understand that we don't get to elect you, which is something I'd be very happy to lobby for legislation for, but we absolutely do pay your salaries, which I'll remind you have kept fabulous pace with inflation. Each of you will make over $150,000 this year, while minimum wage for Coloradans is $14.81 an hour. If they're lucky enough to be able to work 40 hours a week, that averages out to $592 a week, $2,370 a month, $28,435 a year. So when you make this decision to increase ratepayers' bills, I would like you to remember that you are increasing bills for people who make 1/5 of the amount that you make in a year. For what? And for what is this for? Like I said, it doesn't reduce costs for taxpayers. It doesn't reduce costs for consumers. It does not help the environment. So why would you approve this? And if Excel wants to stay in business, they need customers. Killing your customers due to health complications from your product and then doubling down on that is not a good business model. The US is already being outpaced by other countries in the energy market because we refuse to switch to renewables. Why? Because everybody is apparently in the pocket of the oil and gas companies. Something's got to give.
Well, thanks, Ms. School. Appreciate your comments. Next, I have Julia Corn, followed by Giselle Gardena Pinera.
Hi there. Good evening, commissioners, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Julia Corns. I live in Denver, where I am an Excel customer, an ethical business leader, and a parent. I also serve on the board of Be Local Colorado, where I help lead the B Corp movement in our state. Across all these parts of my life, I care deeply about the long-term sustainability of our environment, as well as the affordability of living and doing business here in Colorado. I'm here today to ask you to keep Excel accountable to its own climate commitments and to the expectations of Coloradans. The B Corp movement is built on the principle that businesses should be a force for good, prioritizing people, planet, and profit. More than 2,000 companies in the US and Canada, including 160 businesses here in Colorado, have chosen to meet the rigorous standards of B Corp certification. They do so because they know ethical business practices lead to better outcomes for companies, for communities, and for our climate. Excel has also made public commitments that matter deeply to me as a customer, as an ethical business leader, and as a parent raising children who will be paying for any decisions we make here today. Excel has pledged to deliver 100% carbon-free electricity by 2050, and a statutory requirement to cut greenhouse gas emissions from its gas system 22% below 2015 levels by 2030. These goals are ambitious and necessary, but they are not compatible with Excel's actions and continued expansion of fossil gas infrastructure. Adding new gas customers and extending gas service territory makes it harder, not easier, for Excel to meet both its own clean heat goals and Colorado's statutory clean heat targets. We cannot continue to build new infrastructure that relies on fossil fuels. Climate change is accelerating, And Colorado needs its largest utility to lead, not lag, our transition to clean, affordable, reliable energy. We need Xcel to invest in solutions that move us forward. The PUC has both the authority and the responsibility to ensure Xcel meets the goals it has already set. I respectfully ask you to require that Xcel develops a gas infrastructure plan that aligns with Colorado law and meets Xcel's own 2050 net zero commitments. Thank you for your time and for your commitment to hearing from Colorados who care about our clean energy future.
Thanks, Ms. Korn, appreciate it. And I have Giselle Gardia Pinera, followed by Geneva Crowley.
Hi, my name is Casel Gardia Piñera, and I'm an Xcel customer. I'm here today as a Civic Engagement Fellow working with a nonprofit organization and as a proud Latina community member. I'm speaking today because I'm deeply concerned about the consequences Coloradans will face if Xcel continues expanding its costly gas system. If the company does not prioritize clean heat alternatives, we will see more harm to vulnerable communities, including many Latina families like mine. I love Colorado for its beauty, its mountains, and the way our communities care for our lands. But I'm increasingly worried about the world that future generations will inherit. I really think about my 12-year-old cousin and what his life will look like if we fail to take meaningful action in Colorado. Colorado's quality of life is at risk. If we do not make responsible choices today, future generations, like my 12-year-old cousin, might not get to grow up in a state with snowpack, with healthy ecosystems, with clean water and clean air. Rising utility bills hit low-income, rural, and working families first, including many Latina households. Our communities are often located near polluted areas and already breathe air filled with toxins. We cannot keep observing the costs of climate inaction. The Public Utilities Commission has a responsibility to protect us from unnecessary rate increases and from decisions that deepen the environmental burden we already carry. I was raised on the principle that if you make a mess, you clean it up. Yet companies like Xcel that make billions in profit continue to claim they cannot afford to invest in affordable clean energy, all while leaving pollution in our backyard. They must be held accountable and be required to meet Colorado's clean heat targets, which call for reducing greenhouse gas emissions from the gas system. Finally, I want to thank the Public Utilities Commission for its ongoing commitment to hearing from Coloradans who care deeply about our renewable energy future. Your decisions shape the world our children will inherit and the Colorado that we want to live in. Thank you.
Thanks, appreciate it, Ms. Gardia Pinera. Next, I have Geneva Crowley, followed by Shayna Oliver. After that, I'll have you, Ms. Segal, third. And I don't have any other hands besides that. So if anyone else
That's
is
Lynn, not Miss Siegel. Thank you.
Yep, no worries. So if anyone else is joining us who wishes to make a comment, please do raise your hand just so I can understand if we have more folks who are waiting to speak as well. So Geneva Crowley, if you're available.
Yeah, this is Geneva. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, nice. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for opening up the hearing and listening to our concerns today. And thank you so much for everyone who has spoken today. Everyone's brought up really good points. Oh, wow, good job. I am speaking today as a mom, and a ratepayer. I'm from Lakewood, Colorado. So I am speaking as a ratepayer, Colorado, and I just don't want to pay. I mean, our expenses are so high already. It's like paying Russian roulette with our bank account. So to absorb more costs, I just, it really just affects our ability to keep the heat on. And also more importantly, I am good job. I am concerned about the environment and, my son's future. I mean, we are lucky enough to live near a trail in Lakewood. And so it is really nice to be able to take them out and take them on, bike rides and everything. But that gets impeded upon when we have all those ozone warnings. It's very rude that they're gonna just open up more expansion of the pipelines when this is our only outlet we got to just get our babies regulated and connect with the outdoors. So I deeply appreciate you to taking our concerns, as far as the economy goes and, for our future generation. All right, thank you guys for hearing our concerns and thank you for everyone who came and presented today. Thank you.
Thanks, appreciate it, Ms. Crowley. Next, I have Shayna Oliver, and after that, I'll have you, Lynn.
Can you hear me?
I can.
All right. Thank you for taking comment today. I am Shayna Oliver. I live in the Northeast Denver area. And I also work with Moms Clean Air Force, Echo Madres, Colorado. We do have 44,336 members. We're united for our children's right to live, learn, play, and breathe clean air in a safe environment against harmful air pollutants and climate change. As parents, we supported the planned closures of Colorado's coal power plants and for the proper cleanup of these closures with plans to ensure development of clean energy like wind and solar are invested and supported. As a Colorado resident of Northeast Denver, my community continues to rank 6 worst cities for harmful ozone pollution, according to the American Lung Association's State of the Air report. Moms Clean Air Force know very well that harmful ozone pollutants are detrimental to our health, especially to our babies before they even take their first breath. As an example, I was born during a time when Denver had very bad pollution. I was born prematurely, low birth weight with birth defects, which not many community members like sharing. These are the norms of communities faced with higher levels of harmful air pollutants. And I'm one of the 300,000 plus that have asthma in the state of Colorado, according to the CDC's public health reports, along with my youngest son who had to grow up in Northeast Denver because of gentrification of our communities. So as parents and consumers, we don't have a choice of which energy company that we can choose from. But one thing we can do is make our voices heard where we want our energy to come from, and that we do support the planned closures of Colorado's coal power plants. Importantly, moms, and we support clean energy options to expand wind and solar, supporting our children's right to live, learn, play, and breathe clean air in safe environments against harmful air pollution and climate change. And importantly for our health, it's just healthier to address our issues, especially with air pollution. The fact that, everyone likes to talk about economy and where the money and profits go, but they don't want to ensure that our children have long longevity lives that are protected. So we should be investing in our children's future and not not exploring alternatives that we didn't voice our voice on. And I'm pretty sure we voiced that we were in support of these of Colorado's coal plant powers to be closed, and that we do want importantly we do want a proper cleanup of these coal power plants, which wasn't done in some of these sites that have already closed, that there's still continued aftermath impacts for communities that are living next to closures of coal power plants, that there is still a need for proper cleanup as well. So thank you for taking my comment, and thank you for your time tonight.
Thanks, Ms. Oliver. Appreciate it. Next, we'll go to Lynn Siegel. And just a reminder, if anyone else is joining us and would like to speak tonight before we close the public comment hearing, please do raise your hand so I'm aware to recognize you once Lynn is done. Thanks. You're on mute.
Thanks for running this, Megan. Eric's okay. Is he just gone tonight, or?
He was just unavailable tonight.
Oh, okay. He's on the board still and everything. Yeah, last time he took my video off because I showed Aaron Stone's poster for, he's a municipalization supporter in Boulder, also Gaza, and I'm both of those. But it was when I was showing all the components of my retrofit, which is a living disaster, from a year ago on November 14th, the city of Boulder finished this retrofit, which the county had gaslighted me for 10 years earlier. They had a retrofit program that was not free then and set you up with a list of vendors. And the vendor I chose, well, I hadn't chosen them, but they sounded pretty good. And I called back to the county and said I'd spoke to them extensively. They did like 4 different things instead of just being roofing or just being solar or just doing insulation. They did everything. And so they could balance it out. And the county said, sorry, we dropped them. And I said, why? And the county wouldn't tell me. The Energy Smart program, David Hushermuch. So I asked Stellar themselves, and they said because the county was forcing them to do a solar install, not mine, under adverse conditions. And so I was pretty shocked, and I didn't want to consider the county for doing anything for me because of that, because they could do other things that, that's pretty unethical to force someone to not meet their own liability standards. They and I could have been sued for, not having the instrument done properly in my place. So 10 years later, and I go to apply for CARE, Colorado Affordable Residential Energy, and under EOC, I don't know, the Energy Outreach Colorado. In any case, I was eligible for the program. I waited for a year. Then the city told me that the county was inducing them to not let me be involved with the retrofit at all. I have a 1949 house, 1,000 feet, an 800 square foot addition, bi-level, and an outbuilding. And they were not gonna let, I don't know what your place is like, Megan, but places that have a lot of complexity, like 3 different years that they were additions were done, are complex situations. And I'm not stupid about my place. I've lived there for 25 years and I have a long-term plan. And you know what, I feel funny talking to Xcel Energy to tell them what I want, because you know what I want? I don't want Xcel Energy. I worked for municipalization for 10 years with Sam Weaver and Tom Asprey as our chief technical people on the job. 10 years. Sam Weaver turned on us, betrayed us, met with, let's see, Alice Jackson from Xcel and Bob Yates from Boulder at a football game. I'm from Boulder. And they nixed our 10 years in a night, 10 years of work. We lost everything with a quote unquote partnership agreement. So I would never be on the team of the partnership agreement because I don't agree with that, But more importantly, what I want, and I'm not saying this to you as Xcel because I don't believe in Xcel. I believe we've outgrown the need for bigger is better. But this is how I'd run my company. And that is geothermal heat pumps first. Everything for geothermal heat. And you know what? It's kind of interesting because in my situation with this bogus retrofit that I had, for example, it's just weird coincidence, but my wash dryer went out. I had a stackable washer dryer and the dryer went out in September. I was to get the retrofit in November. So I asked Carolyn Elam from the city, could I trade it out for the stove or the refrigerator they were giving me? I had an old refrigerator from 92 and I had a gas stove, and I'm reluctant to get a gas stove. I mean, to get a mag induction, because the oven is resistive heat. And I don't want giving Excel more profit and more reason to be. I want my own utility. And we will get one. And Aaron Stone will be mayor next year or the year after or the year after that. We will not stop. We are not stoppable. But this is just a real waste. What happened with my washer dryer? You know, I felt really bad, Megan. So to throw away.
And if you could wrap up in just a minute or two, that would be very helpful.
I felt really bad to throw away this washer dryer, you know, just because the dryer was out because it's stackable. Well, the washer was fine. As it turned out, I tried everyone to see if I could somehow adaptive reuse or something. And I got it new when I got the house in 2000. So it's 25 years old, but it was perfectly good and well treated. So what happened was no one would take it. So I had to get rid of it. Instead, I chose to and Carolyn agreed. She said, well, we can't give you a new, we can't trade you the stove or the refrigerator because that's the appliance I needed, but we can give you 220. So I've got 220 in there, which is great. But I decided to get a wash dryer, which is electric, but it's 110. And it takes so long to wash the clothes and dry them. I don't use the dryer at all. So I could have just kept my washer and had the same thing that I have now in a new product. The fact that it's going around, it's 5 hours to do a few pairs of jeans. That's a lot of energy. That's a lot of electricity. Although, it might be more efficient because it's a heat pump in it. But, there's a lot of complications of things. And I want to see geothermal at the very forefront of everything we're doing. And, for my heat pump, air source heat pump, hot water heater, I keep my house at 54 degrees all winter because I'm saving for geo. Why can't Excel save me for geo? Well, they can't. So I want my own electric company. I want to do it the right way. I want transactive energy, microgrids, and balancing the grid, not with spinning like what the guy was speaking about earlier, but by trading off between houses and setting up these microgrids and transactive energy. That's how we're going to approach the future.
Thank you for your comments today. Very much appreciate it. And I would encourage you, if you do have additional comments you didn't get time today, you can submit those in writing and we would be happy to receive those in writing. So thank you
so much. It was distracting because I'm at the library district budget meeting and it's distracting. And I've gotten about 16 hours of sleep in the last week. And I had no sleep last night. So these things can be done, but it would be nice to not have so much to do to fix the world. And
thank you.
They're working on our behalf. Thanks, Megan.
Thank you.
And
Thanks for your comments today.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Just one more opportunity. If anyone else is joining us, didn't have an opportunity to speak, Commissioner Flant and I are still here. So go ahead, raise your hand quickly. And I'm happy to recognize you. I'll just give that a minute to make sure I don't miss anyone here. Okay, not seeing anyone. Really just wanted to take a moment to thank everyone who showed up this afternoon and evening to share your thoughts and perspectives with us. Very helpful as we consider this filing to understand the sentiments within our communities and to hear directly from each of you all. I know it's not always convenient to find the time or comfortable to speak in public, but but really appreciate y'all's willingness and interest in the topic and time and expertise coming to share with us. So Commissioner Plant, turn it over to you for just a minute if you'd like.
Sure, yeah, I would just echo that. Thank you all for taking time out of your day to participate in this. It really, really does help us to hear directly from the public and to get your thoughts and your experiences and your perspectives. And so I really appreciate you taking the time to share your thoughts with us today.
Oh, come on. I had to do it once, right? Anyway, thank you so much. A very, very good evening to each of you. And really, again, just our sincere thanks for sharing your time with us to ensure that we're aware all of your opinions on this proceeding. And with that, we are adjourned. Everyone enjoy your evening. And thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.